Hey, everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with the Wednesday edition of Today in Sports Betting. Hey, Scott, happy hump day. How are you?
Doing pretty well. I know yesterday went well for us in college basketball. I had
Yeah.
two plays that I gave out. One of them I went official with Florida State, which you agreed on. They won by double digits, easy winner. And then I also gave out the Tennessee Appalachian game under. Nothing funnier than seeing over money on a game by like 2-3 points, and yet the game still sides in your favor by about 20. It's exactly what happened to me yesterday. Money came in on the over, and I'm not really sure why, because Appalachian only scored 38 points. It was pretty much a lock to win after the first 5 minutes, because Appalachian took, I think, 9 minutes to score their first points? It was like 9-0 through 7 minutes. I'm like, all right, this game's over.
That's a beautiful thing when you've got the under. No question about it.
Yep.
Yeah, I question some of the quote-unquote sharp money that comes in on college basketball. I really do. A lot of times you'll be on a line and you're like, I don't even understand that line move. And when the game gets played, you're like, yep, that's not the way I thought it would go.
But you know that some syndicate or something just shelled out hundreds of thousands on some random game. And it's like, well, you lit your money on fire. So,
Yeah,
sorry for you.
clients are going to be pissed, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we've got a couple college basketball games tonight to talk about. A couple of decent plays. Starting off with the team, Scott, we haven't seen much of this year. Traditionally pretty good, but we haven't seen much of the old Butler, the Butler Bulldogs going up against the Villanova Wildcats in a contest there in Philly. And let me check the latest line moves here on this one.
I see it at around 13 or 12.5.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing it at. What's the rotation number on that?
677.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, I got it at 13 minus 111, 132.5 is the total on that game. You know, Butler's played just one time this season, Scott. They've had some cancellations, as a lot of teams have, and of course they looked decent against Western Michigan. They did not cover the number 8. They were 18.5-point favorites. They won by 4. Meantime, Villanova having a fine season, just one stumble there against Virginia Tech, and they've covered 3 straight.
How about that miracle cover against Georgetown, by the way?
I didn't see it.
They were down 18 in the first half at some point, closed the half down 13. They were laying about 11. They outscored Georgetown 43-17 in the second half.
Outstanding.
On the road, even more impressive. So, yeah, that happened.
See, there's one of those games where you think you've lost it in the first half.
Correct. I mean, anytime you give up 46 points with about 3 minutes to go in the first half and end up giving up 63 for the entire game, that's impressive right there.
Yeah, it really is. This is a series that Villanova's really done a pretty nice job. They lost the last game earlier this year. Man, that seems like a long time ago, February of 2020. But other than that, they pretty much they've had Butler's number. What do you think here, Scott? Is it going to be a case of experience versus the team that's just got one game under their belt and looked kind of choppy when they did it at that time?
Well, I think that has to play a factor, but I think it's also worth mentioning the fact that Villanova, despite being 5-1, really hasn't looked as dominant as people thought they were going into the year. I know, for example, that they were a decent amount of people's favorites to win the championship. And looking at what they've done so far this season, yeah, they're 5-1. They lost to Virginia Tech in a neutral, which is it was a last-minute scheduled game. Probably should have won it, but either way, lost that one. They beat Texas in a pretty impressive win on the road, beat Arizona State. So they've beaten some good teams. That Georgetown game also concerns me. And they also struggled against Boston College in the opener, and Boston College is terrible. So I think Villanova's been good. I don't think they've been as good as advertised. I think Robinson Earl's a solid player. Gillespie's been awful the whole year. He's really struggled, which is
what's up with that?
I don't know, but he's been terrible. He hasn't been good. Samuels has been fine, but their best player is Robinson Earl. He's their best player. I don't think it's really that close. And the question is, can Butler really stop him on the interior? And I don't think they can. But then again, you also haven't seen Butler play since November because their first game was November 25th.
They haven't played since the day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so it's a long layoff, a lot of cancellations. I'd have to lean to Villanova, but I'm really not happy laying 13 in such a rivalry game where Villanova really hasn't been that impressive up to this point. But if I was really looking at anything else, I'd probably lean to the under. I know that you have seen some over money come in, which I would cause you to probably wait before tip-off to take the under. But Butler's offense has not really been that great. Plus, they haven't played in about two and a half weeks. And Villanova, have they really looked that good offensively? No. I mean, Georgetown's defense is terrible. They scored 76 in that game, which was based on a huge second half where they scored 43 points. They really did nothing offensively for the first 20 minutes. Texas is good defensively. They scored 68. They killed Hartford because they ended up hitting a ton of threes. And then they also played Virginia Tech, who plays a slow style of offense and just a slow style of basketball. And they ended up scoring 64 points in regulation. So I think the total's a bit too high. I would lean to the under.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, this is a Villanova team that at the end of the day, they're really streaky. Their numbers are okay. I mean, they shoot 46% from the floor. They shoot 36 from three. So, you know, they've got the potential there, but it seems like they just come in weird bunches about when they put those shots together. Frankly, looking at that team and looking at their numbers, I'm surprised their shooting percentage is that high. They shoot decently from the line, shoot about 71% from the line. You know, they don't have a lot of they don't get a lot of rebounds, Scott. I'm kind of worried.
Well, neither does Butler. So
what's that?
In this one. I mean, Villanova's not a good rebounding team, but they're averaging 4 more rebounds per game.
Yeah, well, again, you've got one game for Butler.
No, correct. I'm just saying that when Butler averages 32 rebounds per game in their only games against Western Michigan, I don't think they're that good of a rebounding team.
No, and I do worry about Butler just putting up 66 points there against the Broncos. That's not good. They shot just 25% from downtown.
I'd lean under, but once again, I expect that line to move up because I know in recent years you have seen that trend to the over. But Villanova's offense is streaky. Their defense, however, is very good. And Butler, from what I've seen so far in one game, they play a very slow pace and they're offensively challenged. So I'll lean to the under, but I'm not really happy about it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I just don't have enough of a body of work here to really feel comfortable with this one. I'd probably lean under with you.
I can't really take a side. Maybe Villanova first half if you're hoping that Butler gets off to a slow start with the long layoff.
Yeah, I guess.
It's really tough because, once again, I'm sorry that, we're not that definitive on something, but when the team's only played one game about 2.5 weeks ago, I'm not going to try to predict what to expect from this team.
No, and it's one thing when you got both teams that have one or two games under their belt and they're kind of coming at it from an even spot, but when you've got a decent body of work on one team and you got nothing on the other team, it is frustrating. Villanova minus 7.5 for the first half. Yeah.
It's not great, but if you're expecting Butler to come out extremely slowly after the long layoff, I think if Villanova's going to cover, they're probably going to go on a decent run in the first half.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I would just tend to fall back on the rivalry game and hold my nose and take the 13 if I'm forced to play a side here.
Yeah, I can't really argue with that, but it's just a matter of I really don't know how good this Butler team is.
No, it's going to be interesting to see. They're traditionally very good, but if they are, how long will it take them to get rolling? Because of one game they weren't super.
Well, they did lose their best player last year in Kamar Baldwin, who's no longer there. So
true. They
don't exactly have that dominant ball handler. Aaron Thompson's pretty good, but of course everyone remembers how entertaining Baldwin was as a point guard, and he's not there anymore. So he was kind of the face and the veteran leader of that team, and now unfortunately he's not there. So they're going to have to get creative with it.
Yeah, I think these are two teams that are struggling to shoot the ball. So yeah, I'll go along with you as far as the main play being the over, and I'll.
You mean the under?
I mean the under. Sorry.
Yeah, but once again, I'm going to wait before opening tip if I was going to play it because I don't think there's going to be much under money.
Yeah, I think you're going to get a better number than 132.5. I think it's going to be that's the kind of game that people want to bet over.
Yeah, it's going to be on TV. People are going to watch it. There's nothing else on.
Right. I think you could get that at 134, maybe 134.5 by tip-off time. So,
but the thing is, in that game, Villanova can score 70. Like I think 70 is a decent number for Villanova there because Butler defensively is pretty good. Is Butler going to score 60 something plus points. I don't know.
Yeah, I think if Villanova puts up 70, you think there's a good chance you're good.
Yeah, that's how I feel. So,
all right, let's take a look at the other game here that we've got, and this is a battle there in the Big Ten between a ranked team and an unranked team as Ohio State heads to West Lafayette to take on the Purdue Boilermakers. Purdue -4.5. Ranked team, not favored. Scott, what do you make of that?
Means I'm going to lean to Purdue. That sometimes applies, sometimes doesn't. Usually, is it a fair statement when I say that usually when the ranked team is an underdog, the ranked team loses? I'd say usually.
I don't know.
I don't have the math on that. I know that didn't work out a couple days ago because Rutgers ended up beating Maryland on the road. I actually liked Rutgers in that game because I thought Rutgers was just a better team, and I don't think Maryland's that good. The issue that I have with Ohio State is that so far this season, they played 5 games, and they've looked pretty good so far this season. But who have they played? They beat Illinois State. They beat Massachusetts Lowell. They beat Morehead State. They beat Cleveland State by 6, despite being 20-point favorites in that game? And they beat Notre Dame by 4.
They rode the struggle bus there, man. Cleveland State shot 40% against them from downtown.
Yeah, and Notre Dame they beat by 5, which is fine. Now you look at Purdue. Purdue is 4-2. They had a tough loss against Clemson by 11. They had that massive choke job against Miami. Historical choke job against Miami. It's probably the worst loss of the year by really almost any team. I think Notre Dame would have been worse had they lost to Kentucky, but they held on. Purdue was up 24 in the first half, gave up 14 points in the first half to Miami, gave up 44 in the second half and lost.
I don't know how you do that.
And then Miami came out in their next game and lost at home to Florida Gulf Coast.
Which is a dreadful team.
No, but the point is that makes it even worse for Purdue. So Purdue hasn't exactly been a good team so far this season. Having said all that, Purdue has so much size on the interior that I really think they're going to give Ohio State some problems. Purdue, year in, year out, you take a 7-footer, he leaves, and you bring in 2 7-footers. And then you repeat the process over and over again. And that's what Purdue's done again because they have another couple of 7-foot-tall guys. I'm going to link.
They don't just get regular 7-footers.
No, they get 7'4" guys.
7'4", yeah. They've got they've got their regular 6'11" guy, and then they've got their 7'4" guy.
Yeah.
This is going to come down to a lot. Is going to come down to the health of E.J. Liddell for Ohio State.
Definitely, because Liddell's, in my opinion, their best player.
Yeah, he is, and I think if he can't go, and he missed the last game with an undisclosed illness, non-COVID related, I guess we have to say that these days. So he's still, the last I checked, which was last night, he's still questionable for this game. Have you seen an update on that by any chance?
I'm checking right now, but as far as I know, I haven't seen anything new about it.
It's frustrating. College is a little more frustrating when you're trying to put your finger on injuries, especially basketball. The information is it's a lot harder to find.
According to reports, he is doubtful for Wednesday's game with mono.
Mono is what he has?
Yeah. So if it's mono, there's no way he's coming back.
Man, that's pretty retro, isn't it?
I was going to say, if he has mono, he's not coming back because that usually takes, 2-3 weeks?
Yeah, a couple weeks anyway.
How long was Darnold out? 3 weeks with mono?
Yeah, maybe longer.
It was last year, so I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because I think it was maybe the disease was he had it for 2 or 3 weeks and then he didn't have strength for him another week or two.
Something like that. But either way, if he got it about a week ago, there's no way he's playing in this game. So in my opinion, he's not going to play.
Yeah, it certainly sounds that way, and that's I did my play of the day on this game, and
I'd have to take Purdue. You have Ohio State, who's missing their best player. You saw them in their last game, and they barely beat Cleveland State. Now, Cleveland State, if you didn't know, was part of college basketball history about a week and a half ago. You know what I'm talking about? No. Against Ohio. They played against Ohio. They gave up a 40-0 run. It's the biggest run in the history of college basketball between D1 programs.
Yikes.
So they gave up a 40-0 run against Ohio, and yet they lost by single digits to Ohio State. I'm taking Purdue.
Yeah.
Because if Ohio State's missing Liddell and they can't beat Cleveland State by margin, I think Purdue's just going to dominate on the boards and win the game.
Yeah, this is Ohio State that runs. They run a really good. They run a version of the pack line defense like Virginia does, but they don't do it as well as Virginia. They do well inside, but that's with Liddell. But even with Liddell, they struggle to stop teams from shooting beyond the arc.
And Purdue has always been a team that has a couple of sharpshooters, mostly
Yep.
big men, and I
Yep.
think that should pay off. You still have, for example, you have Stefanovic, who's been around for what feels like 25 years, but he's still there, still circling the three-point line, still getting buckets, shooting over 52% from three. So Purdue has the shooters. They have the size to set up some second chance points. And Ohio State's offense should struggle against the interior size of Purdue. So I like Purdue in this spot.
Yeah, as long as they can keep track of Justin Aherns,
Yeah,
and not let him go off from beyond the arc, they should be fine. And he's such a liability to play anything if he's doing anything but shooting the three. He doesn't shoot inside the arc. He doesn't defend. He's like it's the cat for Toronto, dude.
Oh, you mean Toronto is in the Raptors?
Yeah.
Not Siakam?
No.
Wait, can you give the description one more time?
Only shoots threes, doesn't play defense, doesn't shoot twos.
Only shoots threes, doesn't play defense.
Who am I talking about?
Not Van Vliet, because he's a good defender. It's not Lowry.
No.
Norman Powell?
No. God dang it. Maybe it wasn't. Was it not Toronto?
I'm trying to think of all the people who they.
White kid.
You mean Thomas off the bench?
Yeah, the sixth man off the bench.
A sixth man. Okay, I was going to say Thomas is way down the bench, but that definitely applies. I thought Ibaka was sixth man on that team.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't. Okay, all right. I got to look it up. Because it's a great comp.
Okay.
Anyway, all right. So for this one though, yeah, I think you've got the wrong team favored here. I mean, I think you've got the.
It's not the wrong team favored.
Wrong team ranked.
Yeah, there's a reason why Ohio State is the underdog here, despite being ranked, and it's not all based on matchup and the fact that they're going to be playing in Purdue. It's mostly because their best players out.
Yeah.
And I can't trust that team after such a terrible performance against Cleveland State.
Yeah, I think that's baked in a little bit.
Think Purdue runs away with this one?
I think it's certainly possible.
It wouldn't surprise me if Purdue wins this game by like 15.
You got a thought on the total?
Well, it's tough to take it over when one team's missing their best offensive player. So I'm going to lean to the under. Ohio State's offense struggled once again against Cleveland State. I think Purdue's good defensively. They have some lapses, which are concerning. But for the most part, I do like this Purdue defense, and I think this total's a bit low. So for me, I'm going to lean to the under. I think Purdue could get to 70, and I don't think Ohio State will get to 60. So I'll lean to the under here.
Okay. I'll tell you, if you've got a book where you can take a team total in college basketball, it's probably going to be 69.5 or so.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I don't hate Purdue team total over there either.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, there you go. So that's really the two main games here tonight, Scott. We've got a few other games, but nothing really has any kind of marquee value at all. So anything else stand out on the card for you tonight? You want to talk about?
Really, no. I was pretty interested in the Pittsburgh-Miami game at 6 o'clock. Now, Pittsburgh, I am not a big fan of. However, they do have one really, really, really good player who should pretty much have his way tonight. Miami, I just talked about how they lost the Gulf Coast. It's a little bit misleading because Miami was missing a bunch of people due to injury and some other stuff that's going on. And, yeah, let's just say that Miami is going to be missing a decent amount of people for this game as well. But Pittsburgh has one guy in Champagny who's averaging 19.4 points per game and 13 rebounds per game. The guy's a beast. He's really, really good. And he's 6'6", and he's averaging 13 rebounds per game. So this guy is an absolute just animal. And Miami just lost the Gulf Coast. This team is down a bunch of people. There's a reason why money's coming on Pittsburgh on the road. I would take Pittsburgh.
Okay. If you're not afraid of laying big numbers, I was looking at Colorado Buffaloes against Nebraska Omaha.
I thought about that too.
Colorado laying 21.5. I don't, generally don't like laying those huge numbers, but I think it's a good opportunity. This is a Mavericks team that's just not good at all. And I think Colorado, much like their football team, is a little bit underrated right now. So I don't hate that one either, but all right. that's good. A couple more bonus plays if you need a little more from us, you got it. So we're here to deliver.
I'm trying to figure out how many people Miami was down for that Gulf Coast game, but yeah, let's just say Miami's missing a bunch of people. So there's a reason why the line has climbed.
Okay. All right, very good, my friend. Well, that'll do it for the Wednesday edition of Today in Sports Betting. As always, if you're looking for more information on any of these games, man, Winners and Winers, it's the place to go because they've got basically deep dives into all these games and all these teams that, like you said, you may not be familiar with. The Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, by the way.
I actually thought about taking Cal Poly today, but I didn't do it.
I can't.
I couldn't do it, but I thought the 5.5 was a little bit too high.
Yeah, San Diego is not good.
They were all.
Not to be confused with San Diego State, but yeah.
No offense to the Toreros, but I'm not a big fan of their team.
I was going to call them the Toreadors, but yes, it's the Toreros. Yeah, not good at all. But yeah, make sure you stop by, check out winnersandwiners.com for not just information to that game, but to all the games going on every single day. And of course, we thank you guys for watching us. Don't forget to give us the like. Don't forget to give us the subscribe if you haven't done so already. For myself, for Scott Reichel, for all of us over here at Winners and Winers, appreciate you watching today. Hope every one of those tickets in your pocket turns into cash money back at the window. Guys, have a great day. Let's go out there and hit some winners, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. See you tomorrow on Today in Sports Betting. Bye-bye, everybody.